Okay, so it's a daily dosey dose of a side of Israel. So I was just I made a post on Facebook yesterday, and I said, so basically this one, it was a post, a hypothetical, really not really a hypothetical because it's a scenario that a lot of women do, but myself included, like I ain't out of this. That's how I know about it. So we tend to go off like we feel like that if a man don't text you all day, that he's not interested. And I said, my caption was when I shared it, um, if you if it's really interest, mutual interest in the relationship, it won't matter who texts first and who texts last. You will just contact each other because you want to talk to each other. You won't need all of that extra crap in the relationship. Cause like we be wanting, like we have this sense of wanting control over our partners. They gotta do this, they gotta do that. This a certain way. They have to do this way. Like nah, that's where we have to unprogram our minds to understand how we've been conditioned to view relationships. Like everything we know about relationships for real came from slavery condition. Everything. So it's like until you unprogram all of that nonsense out of your mind, you will never truly know what a healthy relationship feel like. Like I feel like, okay, so I'm gonna break down a four person household. Every other time, but when I need it. All right, bro. So like a four-person household, I feel like it so that's a man, a woman, a son, and a daughter. So I feel like if how this is how you create a total sense of balance in a relationship. So the man can, if he's working at night, he can cook in the morning, cook breakfast in the morning for his family. He can, because before I say this, before I even finish this, this breakdown, a man sets the tone in the relationship. He sets the tone in the household. He lets the entire household know how he wants his household to be ran. The woman creates the atmosphere of the household. So whatever tone he set, whether it's toxic or healthy, the woman create that atmosphere because she has that nurturing aspect, whereas opposed to he has that authoritarian aspect. So now this is a scenario that I feel is very comforting in my opinion. Like, okay, so if the man is working at night, he makes breakfast in the morning, and then the woman is working in the morning, she makes breakfast, I mean she makes dinner at night. So then that way they start their day off right with a healthy meal. Everyone is eating good in the morning, and they're eating a good at night. What you do in the what you eat in the middle of the day is up to you, but you making sure that you two get a good meal and a good night's sleep and a great start to your day, and you making sure those kids are getting that as well. And then also that's how you feed in your body, right? Then you have to realize that you have to feed the mind and the soul as well. So like this is something I really thought of. So like in the morning time, when you getting ready to start your day, I feel like the man should help his son in the morning, and the woman should help her daughter in the morning. To where in the morning, when they brushing their teeth, washing their face, and doing all of that, you saying daily affirmations. Women like doing the like as a woman, giving you having that connection with your daughter, so that y'all starting the day off right with that mother and daughter energy, that real feminine energy. You instilling that courage inside of her when she first wake up in the morning. And as a man, you instilling that courage into your son and yourself, because you're not just doing it to the kids. You creating that bond with each other. Like, every morning you do that, and y'all looking in the mirror, y'all building that bond of self-love, self-care. Because affirmations, even though it's probably like 3 words, that is the ultimate form of self-care. And it's like you building that bond right then and there, right? So then you do that in the morning, but at night before you go to bed, you switch it up. The father and the daughter they have affirmations. The mother and the son have affirmations. So then that way you building that bond as well with the opposite sex in the kids and with yourself, because how you love your man is how you treat your son. How you love your daughter is how you treat your wife or your woman, like whatever. And it's like you have to realize that. But if you do that every night, you instilling into the kids like it's okay to love the opposite sex and respect the opposite sex. Because I did this with my parent, and this is how I felt doing this, and it made me feel great. And it's like it's just showing and that's actually balancing balancing the masculine and feminine energies before you go to bed. So then in the morning it's like in the morning you opening the vessel, and then at night you closing the vessel. It's like it's interweaving each other every time. Like if you build that pattern, that is going to cultivate a bond that can never be broken between each side. Because a lot of times when families grow with each other, the daughter builds an ultimate bond with her father, and she steer away from her mother at like once they get a certain age. But if you start those daily affirmations, when she gets older, when she wants to figure life out for herself, she knows she still have her mother on her side. She know how to love because her father showed her love. And it's like that's how you can build a healthy bond within your family. And it's so cool to like really just think on how that can go about, because it's something so simple. But it's also like you're not putting so much weight on one person to do things. You balancing out the energies. And I feel like every family should do a family outing every week. Like if you like, especially if you have small kids. Like if you have kids that's under 10 years old, you gotta appreciate those little 10 years. Because I kid you not, once the kids turn 11, they forget you exist. Like, because they see the world for what it is. They see all the different options out there. And you can't get mad at them for not wanting to be up under you all the time. They've been up under you for 10 years. Now they can see the world for what it is. But that's why you gotta cultivate that courage and and those morals and all of that stuff when they're young, so that when they do get that age, they don't have to figure it out for themselves. Because I kid you not, if you show these kids who they are when they're younger, by the time that they're 11, they'll be able to show you who they are. Because that's the thing about the Black community. We didn't have access to all the information that we do now when we were growing up. Like now, I am happy for these kids. Like, and I'm so glad that I get to be an instructor, a teacher in it all as well, because I get to be the adult that I wanted when I was a kid. And it's like that is the ultimate form of self-love to me and self-care, because I get to help a little person that I see myself in. Like, that's how you have to realize, like, we get to help these kids get in a better position than we could ever be in, because they have us. Like, stop being jealous of them and realize that they are living your dream. They are your wildest dream. They can do anything that they set their mind to because they got you. Like, a lot of people be thinking like, oh, like, I don't want them to do this. I didn't get to do this when I was a kid, so why should they do that? That don't matter. Who cares what you used to do when you was a kid, for real? You ain't that no more. You an adult now. So now you got to make sure that these kids growing up don't live the same life that you used to live. Like, come on now. We got to realize we got to evolve over time. We can't stay the same. Who wants to stay the same? Only thing that's constant over time is change. Life or death is going to happen. The only thing that's going to happen is change. You can't, I was going to say you can't change, but you can't force things to stay stagnant if they want to change. Like, you ever seen a 40-year-old man with a 10-year-old personality? It's because that 40-year-old person stays stagnant in that 10-year-old mindset. That's not fair to his environment that he refused to grow. That's not fair to everybody because then the way society is, we look at our elders for guidance. We pay attention to our elders. So if our elders is acting childish and acting like they don't know themselves, and we feel like we know ourselves better than them, why would we listen to them? Or like, then you have some people that stone set and listening to their elders, and they're gonna become just like that childish ass elder. And it's like, ugh, look at who you making. Look at what you doing. Like, we have to unleash these shackles on our mind and realize how we've been programmed to think the way we do, programmed to do the things that we do, programmed to feel the way we feel about certain things. Because a lot of times, because like, if you really dig deep and find out why you feel the way you feel, you will realize that that's not even really how you feel. That's just how you've been conditioned to feel. So then that's when you feel like you've been lied to and you've been bamboozled your whole life. And it's okay to feel like that. Like, I just made a post on my Instagram, like, it's okay to be a fool. Like, a lot of people don't like being a fool because they feel stupid, but it's like, everybody was once a fool at one point. In order to be a master, you have to be a student at one point. So in saying that, you have to admit that you're ignorant towards something and be willing to change it. Because if you stay ignorant, then you're going to stay ignorant. You're not going to go anywhere. You won't ever learn how you're ignorant. You will never learn how that ignorance is hindering you. Because a lot of people think that just because they feel like it don't affect them, then it won't ever matter. But hey, it may not matter to you because you're ignorant, but when this world around you start changing, you're going to wish you would have paid attention to that person that was in your ear, like, hey! And that's what people don't be understanding. Like, you only ignorant because you choose to be. You have to be willing to say, I need help. Like, I just told my auntie that, like, because I hated to see her like this, but I understand because it's all a part of life and you can't control everything. But my auntie, this is my most independent, it's my great auntie. She is one of the most independent women I know. And she's not able to do for herself. And it hurts her. And I felt her sorrow. And it's like, and I said, like, it's okay to, I say, auntie, she an independent woman. And I love that about her. But it's okay to accept help sometimes. We all need help at one point. Like, we were never meant to live life alone. We can be by ourselves, but we were never meant to live alone. That's why it's so many different people around the world. That's why we're so spread out. That's why That's why you have that's why you have somebody that made peanut butter, you have somebody that made jelly. Who said that when they two inventions come together, it was gonna make it the perfect sandwich? That's like, that's asking for help. That's a way of asking for help, because they assisted you in doing something that you didn't even know that was possible. And it's like, that's how we have to look at life. We don't look like we be so quick to want to control everything. Like, no, let it guide, let it be how it is. Like, let it flow the way it's supposed to. Like, direct the flow. You don't have to try to tell the wind, hey, blow west. Like, no. Just go with the flow of the wind. It may take you in a better direction than what you was directing. Because a lot of times we be wanting to point fingers at everything, but we don't realize, like, I love this quote. We be wanting to point fingers at everything, but we don't realize the other three fingers that's pointing at ourselves, and the other one that could point up. Cause like I got my hand in a gun position, and my thumb is pointing up in the air, but my three fingers is pointing at myself. So it's like there's many different perspectives and directions to look at things. You don't have to just go in the direction that you pointing your finger in. No, you can shift your perspective and look at it from different ways to tackle it at different angles. That's why I always love math, because there was always different ways to solve the same problem, like different approaches to take, different it's just different. It's not staying stagnant. Like, you don't have to look at everything one way, because it's multiple ways to look at things. Like, just like the number 9, if you look at it upside down, it becomes a 6. And it's like, that's how we have to look at life. Just because you looking at this as bad, look at it. How about you hop in a handstand, or handstand, and you look at it from a different perspective. And I guarantee, if you hop in a handstand and you look at the number 9, you will see it differently, because it's gonna look like a 6. That just sounds cool to me. I just had to finish that. But like that's something that really taught me, like, cause for a while I was just struggling admitting that to myself. But this morning and yesterday really taught me a lot about myself. Like, it all, like, you have to be willing to shift your perspective and change. You have to be willing to shift your perspective to change the outcome. Like, perfection is a perfect lie. Nothing is perfect. Like, I've been learning that lately. Like, for instance, like me personally, I get choked up on my words a lot. But I learned it's because I have to say it a different way, because how I look at things is not how everybody else look at things. So I be having to take a step back and change how I say it, shift my perspective so that I can communicate clearly. It don't necessarily work for me all the time, because I don't like dumbing down my message. I don't like dumbing down stuff. But I realize you have to sometimes. You can't just use big words all the time then expect someone to understand what you're saying. Like, if no one ever seen that word before, they're gonna be like, what? Like, for instance, the word that come to mind is petty bourgeois. And for months I heard my group say that. They kept saying petty bourgeois, petty bourgeois, petty bourgeois, petty bourgeois. I'm like, what the hell is petty bourgeois? Like, what the hell is that word? But then I realized I was ignorant towards it. And I went and looked it up. And actually, that's what I'm finna tell you the exact. Oh, shit. This book ain't bright. Petty bourgeois. So petty bourgeois is a social class of that bourgeois that typically works alongside their employee if they have any. I don't like. So it's the social class between the middle and the lower class. So it's like it's in my opinion when I look at it like those people that feel like they're above other people, like, cause like it's just another word for how classism is. Like once people get to a certain level of acceptance, social acceptance, that's what I'm gonna call it. Once people get to a certain level of social acceptance, they realize that they can do this, they can do that, so they can act like this, they're better than this, they can do this, they get big headed. But it's like to be humble is to be balanced. Like the fundraising episode of the Boondocks come to mind because it's a post that I seen. It had Riley and old girl, but it said, "Don't let your wins go to your head, and don't get stuck in your losses." That's being humble, knowing that a loss isn't a loss to a boss. You know that you're gonna grow over time. Like that's why I say win. I don't like saying wins and losses. I like to say lessons and blessings because that's what it is. If you lose, it's just a lesson on how to catch your next blessing. Just like when you blessed, that's also a lesson on how to catch your next blessing. So that's all life is. So like I love rest in peace Kobe. Like I grew up with a lot of boys. So like my cousin, he loved Kobe. Like he used to like I'ma just say that. And it's like like his Mamba mentality is something that's really stuck in my head. And I'm actually gonna give the book a chance since I ain't got no book I'm really focused on right now. I'm gonna read that book for real and really take heed to the message that's being conveyed in there because I really take heed to Kobe's message. Like Kobe was a workaholic. He was a very big workaholic because he realized like what he was doing was far greater than what he's been through. But it's like it's okay to be a workaholic, but how do you find balance in that? Because every workaholic needs to rest. And it's like how can you shift your perspective to make better use of your time? Because like you can work all day, but until you rest, you won't be able to see the mistakes that you made. And I learned that with myself in my speech because like I have a message that I just want to type and get out. I type it all out, but then I don't read it. I don't take a break from it and read before I press that button. I just post it. But then I go back and read it and I be like, damn. I'm like, damn, how can you post something like this and you didn't even read it? You could have said something off the wall and or you could have like you could have missed your own blessing writing this and they would have passed it up just because you didn't proofread it. And it's like you have to be willing to take a step back at one point and see it from a different perspective. Like that's why they say I learned this at school. Like when you writing, when you write your rough draft and then you leave it you leave it alone. And then you go back to it. And when you go back to it, you honestly can be your own proofreader, because when you go to sleep and you come back to it, you're going to see it. You're going to be like, okay, this is what I really meant. This is how I can say this better. I can do this better next time. And I can take this out. Like, I don't have to say this like this. This can go right here. Like, you will be able to see it clearly because you process the thoughts. And it's like, that's how we have to look at relationships as well. We have to be willing to realize, admit when we're wrong, and learn from our mistakes. Because that's all it is. Mistakes. Mistake, mistake. Because you're going to try it again. Take one, take two, take three. Just like when they making movies and stuff. Like, that's how you have to, like, life is so simple. You just have to learn from everything that's in front of you. Just like how a parent learns how to be a parent from their child, that is how you have to look at life. Be a student to your lessons. Be a student to your blessings. Like, and then once you do that, like, you will realize, you will see how much you'll truly find out how much you know. Like, I just wrote this on my Instagram, and I love that I wrote this. I said, to know is to understand. To understand is to gain insight. To gain insight is to shift your perspective. No, to gain insight is from perspective. And you can only, and something I forgot, but basically, you have, in order to find out what you truly know, you have to work your way up to knowing. That first comes with shifting your perspective to gain insight. And then once you gain insight, you begin to understand what it is that you want to know. It's levels to the shit. You can't just get insight and know something all the way. No. You have to grow through the motions. Go through the motions. That's why emotions, energy in motion, you have to be able to go through those emotions in order to elevate your perspective and elevate into a better version of yourself, or else you're going to stay that stagnant ass little kid in a grown person's body. But I didn't talk more than I wanted to, so peace and love.